Welcome to Hyper Music Academy, and in this tutorial I want to talk about the app that you can use for self-taught when it comes to music theory. The name of this app is Music Theory Hyper. Let me walk you through the home. You have interval, you have chords, you have note values, you have rest, you have circle of fifths, you have scales, you have octaves, and you have symbols. Basically, for those of us who are doing playing by ear method, you don't for now need in-depth details in music theory, but this application can help you to have a basic understanding and foundational knowledge in music theory, and you can apply whatever you learn here into your keyboard practice. The first thing I want us to consider is the intervals. In music, we have 12 keys in music, practically. And what is the meaning of a key? A key consists of a group of notes that form the melodic or harmonic of a musical piece. For every song you've listened to, it belongs to a particular key. And within that key, you have the pitches or notes that come together to form that song, to form the chords play in the song, and to form the melody play in the song. So that is key. And in music, we have 12 keys. The only key that is natural on the keyboard without playing any of the black keys is C. The key of C, you can play all the white key and make sense without the help of any of the black key. This app defines interval in a very simple way, and you can understand easily. An interval is the distance between two notes. I like to say an interval is the shortest distance between two notes. Unison, fourth, fifth, and octaves are perfect intervals when in their fundamental form. When in their fundamental form means that when you start from the root and you progress in ascending order, that's in their fundamental form. Raising the top tone of a perfect interval changes it to an augmented interval. Lowering the top tone changes it to a diminished interval. We're going to get there. Non-perfect diatonic intervals are major in their fundamental form. When lowered, they become minor, and when raised, they become augmented. Lowering a minor interval makes it a diminished interval. Now, talking about augmented, diminished, major, minor, these are terms and they are modifier. What is modifier? Modifier tells you the quality of chords that you play. They define the intervals of notes that form the chords that you play. And they are in three categories: perfect intervals, diminished, perfect, augmented. Major and minor intervals: diminished, minor, major, augmented. So there are two types of intervals: harmonic, melodic. Below are the abbreviations used by the modifiers: perfect, minor, major, diminished, augmented. So you just need to memorize this one. Now, you're going to pay attention to two things: the name, perfect unison, and then the sound. The next one is minor second. Mind you, the application is playing the first note, which is the root note, the next interval, and then the third time is playing both notes together. Okay? Major second. Minor third. major third, diminished fourth, perfect fourth. So diminished fourth is the same thing as major third, because when you have a fourth and you diminish the fourth, it's going to reduce the pitch by a half step, which restored perfect fourth back to major third. That's why you have diminished fourth sound the same as major third. Okay, so let's move on. Perfect fourth, augmented fourth, diminished fifth. Diminished fifth and augmented fourth, they are the same, because perfect fifth being reduced by a half step and is the same as augmented fourth. Why? Because perfect fourth has been raised by a half step to augmented fourth. So it's just a single note between perfect fourth and perfect fifth. That's why they sound alike. Diminished fifth, perfect fifth, augmented fifth, minor sixth. Augmented fifth and minor sixth sound the same sound but different names. We call them enharmonic, because major sixth has been reduced by a minor second and perfect fifth has been raised, so it's the same notes but different names. Major sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, perfect octave. Okay, now what's happening here is that from C on your keyboard to the upper C, you are playing the notes after the other without omitting any of the black keys. Okay, so the first black key you are going to play after the C is C sharp, which is by interval a minor second from C. Okay, the next key is the white key, which is D. By interval, it is major second from C. That is why it's called major second. Minor second because it's half step. When you have two minor seconds, then you now have one major. That's minor plus minor. It's now major. Let's put it that way. Then from C to D is called major second. From D, there's a black key next to it, which is E flat, and it's called minor third. Now, remember that these intervals are being played in relation to the first note, which is our root note, perfect unison, the C, for example. All right? So each time these are placed, for example, minor third, the first note you heard, da, is C, do is the minor third. Then the third time is going to play is playing the two together. All right, so the next one is major third, which is E. E is major third. Okay, the next one is diminished fourth, which is the same thing as major third. Remember, when you get to the perfect fourth, you reduce it by an half step, you come back to the major third. Okay, the next one is the augmented fifth. Sorry, the next one is the augmented fourth. All right, so these notes are being called out, listed out here, one after the other without omitting one. And on the keyboard you have 12 semitones. So among these 12 semitones, you only have the first 12 semitones between the first note, which is P1, to the last one, which is perfect octave, P8. The next part is the extension. Extension after when you get to the perfect octave. When you get to perfect octave, you move on to the minor 9, which is the same C sharp that has been played as minor second, but at this time you are playing it at the upper octave of where you started from. So it becomes a minor 9, then a major 9, which is the same thing as the major second but at the upper octave, which becomes major 9. Then minor 10th, major 10th, perfect 11th, perfect 12th, minor 13, major 13, minor 14, major 14, perfect 15. And these are also repetition of notes that you've come across within the first octave but at the extension upper octave. Alright, so that is about interval on the app music theory helper. So basically, if you can use this interval and the sound in it to train yourself, or whenever your keyboard is not available around you. So you can use application like this to practice. It's not every time you practice with the keyboard. No, there are times that you can practice with material away from the keyboard. Alright, so hope you have a good understanding of what intervals is. Try and memorize the abbreviations for the modifiers. Alright, P, M, P, small letter M, capital letter M for major, small letter M for minor, D for diminished, A for augmented. Alright, so that is it about intervals.